Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a very good day. So for today's video, I'm here to do a series of book reviews, and that is on the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer. I'm super in love with this series. I marathoned through the first 3 books, and I'm really excited for the last book coming out later this year, which is Winter. The series is a fairy tale retelling of different fairy tales, Cinder being Cinderella, Scarlet being the Little Red Riding Hood, Cress being Rapunzel, and Winter is the retelling of Snow White. It's been slowly climbing the ladder of my favorite YA series. I think there's a lot of great things going for it. So yeah, I highly recommend checking this series out. I think it definitely lives up to the hype. Anyways, let's get started with this first book review, which is Cinder. So I'll try to give you a quick lowdown on what this series is all about. So in Cinder, in the series, the setting takes place in the future. It takes place in the Eastern Commonwealth, which is Asia, more particularly New Beijing. There is a horrible plague going around. A lot of people are dying, and the Eastern Commonwealth is trying to figure out an antidote. Not only do the people of Earth have to worry about this plague, they also have to worry about the moon people, the Lunars, who is ruled by Queen Lavana, who is the absolute worst. Some Lunars have the ability to manipulate people. They can manipulate their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. So that's no good. And so there's tense relations between the people of Earth and the Lunars, and our main character Cinder is of course in between it all. In between it all, obviously. So that's kind of a quick synopsis on what this series and Cinder is all about. So next, guys, I want to talk about the characters. I want to talk about Cinder first. So I think Cinder is a great character. I really love how unapologetic she is. She's a really hard worker. She's a mechanic in the story, and no matter what she does, she seems to get blamed for everything, of course, by her stepmother and her stepsister. And in those moments, she stands up for herself, and I think that's really cool. Another thing that makes Cinder really cool is that she's a cyborg. She has machines for limbs, her arm and her leg, and she has this cool retina display in her eye that allows her to access the internet and allows her to calm different people. So I think that's really cool. In this future, cyborgs are looked down upon, and I don't know why that is, because they're so cool. I would sign up to be a cyborg right away to have all these cool gadgets in my head. So anyways, I think there are aspects of her character that are really relatable as well. Next, I want to talk about Aiko, who is Cinder's android friend, her best friend. Aiko is definitely different from the many other androids in this world. She definitely has a personality which is bubbly and girly and fun. I think Aiko is kind of embodies the reader of this series. I think she reacts to all the different things, how the reader would react to certain characters and situations, and Aiko is the total fangirl of this series. I definitely think there's an Aiko in all of us, and yeah, Aiko is great. Next, there is Prince Kai, and I think he's a really cool character as well. Obviously, there's a lot of burden and responsibility being a prince, and we get to see how Prince Kai faces all those different situations and what he has to do. Even though Prince Kai is kind of a straight-laced kind of character, I think he has a great sense of humor, and I love that about him. Next, I want to talk about the antagonist, Queen Lavana. She is definitely the worst, the absolute worst. She has the ability to manipulate people's thoughts and actions and feelings, and so she uses this power for evil, which is, you know, not good, but she's definitely the antagonist you love to hate, and that's definitely what I want in my villains. Absolutely no sympathy. So those are my thoughts on the characters, guys. Next, let's get into the plot of Cinder. So for the most part, I think Cinder is great in setting up the world and setting up this story for sure. I could definitely see influences from Sailor Moon and the Princess Diaries. However, there was a point in the story where I did feel it was quite predictable. As far as the pacing is concerned, I think Cinder, compared to the other 2 books, Scarlet and Cress, is probably the more slower paced book. Things definitely start to ramp up by the 3rd act, and you're left with a cliffhanger at the very end, which made me want to read Scarlet that much sooner. What I absolutely adore about Cinder and the other 2 books is the fairy tale retelling. I think the cool factor is off the charts. I think how Marissa Meyer interpreted these different fairy tales and integrated them and interpret them in a futuristic sci-fi setting, I think is brilliant. All of these details and elements in these fairy tales reimagined in this sci-fi setting was fantastic. It was so good. So good, especially in the other two books as well, which I'll talk about later. I love it. I absolutely adore it. Next, I want to talk about the setting really quickly. So in Cinder, it takes place in the Eastern Commonwealth, more particularly New Beijing, which I was super excited about. I read that Marissa Meyer chose to set it in China because originally the earliest, I believe, story of Cinderella took place in China. So I thought that was really cool that she was paying homage to the Chinese culture and the setting. And as you read through Cinder, you do find out that the Eastern Commonwealth is a combination of all of these different cultures in Asia, which is really cool as well. However, I do feel because it's set in New Beijing, I was hoping for an overwhelming amount of Chinese cultural influences and references, and I don't think I got that. I didn't feel like I was in China, and my initial reaction to the setting, I felt the Japanese culture was maybe a little bit more prevalent than the Chinese culture. It was really cool to see the Chinese honorifics used. I just wish there were more Chinese cultural elements and influences and references in the story. As far as the sci-fi elements in Cinder, I absolutely adore it. There are hover cars and maglevs and port screens and net screens and the cyborgs and androids and everything. It's so good. I love all of that sci-fi goodness. I think that was on point for sure. So that being said, guys, I'm going to give Cinder by Marissa Meyer 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the read. I think it's a great setup to the rest of the series. There's a great balance between action and romance. Like I said, the fairy tale retelling aspect is on point. It's brilliant. The plot is definitely more slower paced compared to the other two books, and there is a predictability factor to it as well. But for the most part, I was super excited by the end of it and couldn't wait to see what would happen next. So that is my book review on Cinder. I really hope you enjoyed it. Next, I'm going to be doing a book review on Scarlet, so if you want to check that out, definitely click on that annotation. I'll also be doing a book review on Cress, so you could definitely check that out as well. And in those videos, I will do a non-spoiler review at the beginning, and then I'll get into the fun spoilery bits towards the end. I hope I convinced you to check out this series. Let me know in the comments below how you enjoyed Cinder. If you haven't checked out the series yet, are you going to? Let me know. Anyways, guys, I will talk to you later and have a very good one. Bye.